Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 726. And today's date is July 26, 2015. And the title of this episode is The Current Economic Collapse News Brief. Now, before we get started, I just want to make an announcement. Tomorrow, Monday, I'll be uploading a new interview with David Morgan. We had him once before. He's coming back on, and I will email those people who are on the X22Report.com email alert system. If you signed up with YouTube, you should get an email with YouTube, or you can go right to the X22 Report Spotlight channel, or you can come to the X22Report.com site, and you will see the interview on the right-hand side. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, we understand that most of the people in Greece were very nervous. They took their money out of the banks. They continually did this, and of course the bankers were like, everything is fine now, return your money, don't worry. And most of the people said, no, you know what, we're going to keep our money out of the banking system. And at this point, Europe and the ECB, they're aware how insolvent the Greek banks are. And they realized that a new recap would need as little as 25 billion euros and as much as 50 billion euros. So what are they looking to do at this point? Well, they are looking to do bail-ins. Now, is this set in stone right now? Is this exactly what they're going to do? No, they are looking at this. Germany is already demanding a bail-in of large depositors, those holding over the insured threshold of 100,000 euros. This is a repeat of what happened in Cyprus. And we knew that this eventually was going to happen. And we're starting to see signs of this, because you have to remember, Greece is completely bankrupt. Most of the people took their money out of the banks, and they need to restart the system. And where are they going to find this money? It's nowhere to be found. So they're going to go inside to the banking system. And this is why the Eurozone, United States, Canada, New Zealand, Switzerland, UK, other countries, this is why they created the bail-in document. In situations like this, because they know the government is not going to bail them out. We see the BRIC banks, the AIIB, they have pledged partnerships. And like I mentioned before, all loans will be issued in the yuan, not the dollar. They will bypass the dollar. And we can see that at this point, the dollar is continually losing steam. They keep telling us the dollar is up, everything is fine. But here in the United States, the dollar is continually losing its purchasing power. Every time you go to the store, every time you purchase something, those dollars purchase less and less. And this is what we're seeing. Since 1971, I mean, the dollar has lost what? 85 to 90% of its value? But guess what? If you look back in time, since 1971, gold hasn't lost its value. It's actually maintained its value. Yes, it's come down a little bit, but if you compare it to the dollar, gold, silver has sustained its purchasing power. And of course, people are going to come, oh, you can't purchase anything for gold and silver. Yeah, if you kept it, you can trade it in for those paper dollars that are absolutely worth nothing, and then you can go purchase. So if you had a piece of silver, if you had a piece of gold, and you kept it throughout time, the value of it with this dollar system, if you're comparing it to that, has kept its value, where the dollar has not. We see right now that the Bank of International Settlement, they have acknowledged in their annual report that the policy of cheap money has completely failed. All the trillions of dollars that they created out of thin air produced no growth in the real economy. And they want the governments of the world to resolve the crisis. Well, the governments are completely broke. They can't resolve the crisis. This system that they created, this central banking system, where they create money out of thin air and they loan it out with interest on top of it, as we've seen in Cyprus, Greece, France, United States, and many other countries, it just cannot be sustained. You cannot keep this system going, especially when you don't have revenue coming in. And this is what we're seeing. The 85th annual report analyzes the institution, the situation of the global financial system, 7 years after the crisis. They have an entire chapter devoted to biz and all the shortcomings of the IMF and other central banking systems. And they're saying that, yeah, it didn't work. It didn't go to the everyday person. It cannot be sustained. It cannot work. And something's going to have to be done. And we know what they're going to do. We've already discussed it many, many times. They're going to go into the banking system to take what they need to keep the system going. We already know the system is crashing. We already know it's collapsing. And we know there are certain things they're going to do before the collapse. One of them, they've been trying for many, many years. They've been trying to take away the weapons, trying to convince everyone that you don't have the rights. And President Obama on Thursday pledged to use his last 18 months in office to work on gun control. This is what they're planning. And we will most likely see more false flag events occur. We see out in Ukraine. We understand the U.S. is in there training. They have been for quite a while. They're training the National Guard, training the regular army now, training the police force. And at this point, they're saying the head of the National Police Force might be headed up by a foreigner, someone from not even from Ukraine. Well, this makes it easier to come down hard on the people because it's not your people. And we see this happening in many different countries. So at this point in time, what are we seeing? We're seeing inside Ukraine, they're locking everything down, bringing in foreigners, selling off pieces of the country. Well, they're selling off pieces of the country in Greece too. Why? Because both of these countries are defaulting. They're collapsing. They're bankrupt. They have nothing. And the central bankers come in and they buy up whatever they want for pennies on the dollar. We understand out in Syria, the situation is escalating right now. And Turkey definitely wants a complete no-fly zone in the area because it benefits them. It's crucial for Turkey, the United States, and the coalition forces to have this no-fly zone over the safe zone because this will help them get Assad. Think about it. Why do they need a no-fly zone with the Islamic State? They don't have planes. What's the purpose of it? They don't need it. But this isn't their plan. Their goal has always been and always will be the same, to remove Assad one way or another. Yes, can they do it politically? Like Iran? They might try that. But they've been trying for years to completely remove him. They don't want him to be part of this government because he has a close relationship with Russia. And this is going to be a problem. And we can see at this time all this talk about, Turkey going after the Kurds and doing all this. This whole thing is a smokescreen. Their main objective is to go after Assad. They've wanted this for a long time. The U.S. has wanted this for a long time. The coalition forces have wanted this for a long time. So what are they doing? They're keeping the propaganda continually flowing. And they're talking about the chlorine gas, how it's taking its toll in Syria. And they're coming back to the barrel bombs, how they're filled up with chlorine, and they're exploding it over the people. But if you really look at this, there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever of Assad dropping barrel bombs on the people. I mean, they have some fuzzy pictures out on the net. You don't know where these are taken. You don't know who's dropping a rusty barrel. And first of all, why would they even use a rusty barrel? It makes no sense. And this is part of their disinformation. Because they said so, everyone must believe it's true. And we're getting reports that, yeah, none of this is true. Just like they told us that Assad was using sarin gas, and we found out the Free Syrian Army had sarin gas in caves. MIT did a calculation, and the only place it could come from was the Free Syrian Army, and this was back in 2013. But Assad got rid of all his gas, so all they have left is to say, yeah, it's chlorine gas. And then we find out, no. The Human Rights Organization found out, no, it was the Islamic State that's using chlorine gas. But really, they kind of keep that on the down low. They like to continually say, it's Assad. He's using it on his own people. And of course, it makes no sense whatsoever. And we see at this point in time, Assad is giving amnesty to army deserters. He's trying to build up his forces. This battle has been going on for a long time. It looks like his forces are getting tired. He's looking for more forces. And the U.S., the coalition forces, they realize this. And it seems like they're ready to make their move. Especially with the United States now using bases in Turkey, setting up a partial no-fly zone, using the cover story about Kurds and everything else. But their goal has always been the same, to remove Assad one way or another. I mean, they tried politically once before with the Geneva II talks. But the only thing that was on the table was Assad must step down. And now we see the opposition forces saying, well, we said there would be a role for Assad in a transitional government. Now we're saying, no, he must go completely. So right now we see their minds are made up. We see what they're going for. We see what we're doing here. And they're getting ready to go after him. This is what it's all about. Nothing has ever changed. Go back to 2013 when they said, no, we'll leave Assad alone. They're never leaving him alone. They need him removed. They want the pipeline going into Syria, throughout Syria, to pump that oil. They want a central bank in there. They want to put the natural resources on the dollar. This is what it's all about. They're doing the same thing in Iran right now. But they're doing it through different tactics. If it doesn't work out, believe me, they're going in there. They will remove that government. They don't care. They've done it to Yemen. They've done it to Libya. They've done it to Lebanon, Iraq, Ukraine, and many other nations. They'll continue to do this because they know this system is falling apart. They know it's collapsing, and the only way to prop up the petrodollar is to go into these countries and force them to put the petrodollar on their natural resources. Because without it, nobody needs to hold the dollar in reserves. Nobody needs to use it. They would get rid of it. It would all flow back to the United States. They would use gold, silver, yuan, ruble, whatever else is out there. They would use it. And guess what? The dollar would completely crash and implode. And they know this. This is why they've been doing this all along. And we see Obama is in Africa making the tour, talking about counterterrorism, how the U.S. is going to help, how we're going to send aid down there. So you can see already they are getting ready for something else to occur. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an event in Africa coming up very shortly. An event someplace to pass that authorization for war, to go after these terrorist organizations, Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, or any other terrorist organization. This allows, well, under U.S. rules, allows them to go into any country to get the terrorist organization. And wherever China and Russia are, wherever they're making their deals, this is where they want to go. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.